All Over the Road New Orleans is brought to you by Coin Trader Inc., Mind Your Money, and recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Laissez-les boutons rouler.
Who that, baby? Saints football was born right here, appropriately enough, on All Saints Day, November 1st, 1966. It was brought upon by Senator Hale Boggs, but not many people know that this used to be the site of Girard Street Cemetery, all Protestant cemetery built in 1822, and it was demolished in 1957. But not all the bodies were exhumed and placed to another cemetery.
Come on, Coin Trader Studios, we're bringing it live. And who am I? I go by the name of Darkest Night. And Jada Hoyos is the one who brings a sick beat, to which we're getting pumped for topics this week. So I need to grab my grape soda and take a sip, while I turn it over to Katie, Nick, Ted, and Vic. It's all over. We're all over the road. We got a brand new show, so just lo and behold, from the bayou to the city to the burbs to the swamps, you better know what time it is when you're hearing that. Laissez-les boutons rouler.
Yeah, baby. It's another All Over the Road podcast from New Orleans, the Big Easy. This is the King of All Podcasting for Giorno. Bestowed upon me by J.P. Powers and Associates. Teddy's to my left.
Hey.
Crosby, straight across.
I don't think they can hear the music on TikTok.
No, they can't hear the
we
music.
hear it loud and clear in our headphones.
They can't hear this on TikTok, but anyway. Kyle Crosby, ladies and gentlemen, studio audience, Kyle Crosby. There he is.
Yeah, there he is.
Now, Teddy, tell us a little bit. Now, Kyle is he's a really kind of amazing guy. I'm excited to have him here. I really am.
He's a big guy, too. He's a big guy. A lot bigger in person than on TikTok.
He sure is.
We've never met Kyle. We really literally met him like 5 minutes ago when he knocked on the door here at the Coin Trader Studios 5 minutes ago. But I'm flipping through TikTok. I guess it was last night or the night before. I don't know, and I can't remember. But I see Kyle, and he's talking about New Orleans. Got my attention. And I'm like, I'm going to the next one, and he's telling all these stories about New Orleans, from the Superdome to Lake Pontchartrain you name it. He's probably done a story about something around New Orleans. I'm like, this guy's interesting.
Yeah.
So next thing I know, he's live on TikTok. Okay.
Like we are.
And where were you then? It was 2 nights ago, I guess.
Yeah.
And it looked like you were in a bar drinking a beer or something.
That's it, bro. I was at the Bulldog, and I was enjoying the rest of my day.
Okay.
Just sitting down, relaxing. You know what? I'm going to go live. I'm going to see if people have some questions. I could just answer it on the fly, enjoy a beer. Anybody wants to have a beer with me on live, y'all feel free to. And sure enough, you chimed in.
And it looked like people were asking you questions. I looked like you had a couple thousand people watching.
Yeah, it was fun.
Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, don't you have 35, 40,000 people following you on TikTok?
Yeah, we got 38 now.
Yeah.
So thanks, everybody, by the way. Thank y'all.
So that makes you an influencer, right? Are you an influencer?
No, I wouldn't say I'm an influencer at all.
Influenced me. I don't know.
I wouldn't like to just say it. I'm more of like, I just want to share and kind of promote the culture.
But the title influencer comes from followers, right? What's the number? What do you got to have?
I don't know. I know the last time we checked, it was like a micro influencers, anything less than 100,000.
I don't know, Kyle, because I know somebody, forget her name, but she's from Baton Rouge. She's got about 15,000, and she's getting paid by somebody, a company, to say, I wear this jewelry, or whatever it is. It's
Katie's got a friend like that. My daughter.
So hey, you got 35,000. So he's on TikTok live the other night, and so I'm like, hey man, you need to come on our podcast, and he's like, well yeah, but what's the name of it? I go, All Over the Road, New Orleans, and he's like, send me an email. So I did, and here he is.
Well, what we've promised, this is our 4th season, Kyle, in case you don't know. Yeah. And what we promise people every year is we're going to get more stories. Mm-hmm. But before we get into the stories that you're going to tell, because I've got the one about Lake Pontchartrain you got to tell.
No, for sure.
I mean, that's awesome. And then, of course, a lot of people know about the Superdome, but you really go into detail about the whole Superdome project. So we're going to go into that too. But first off, what a lot of people don't know is Kyle is from Grand Isle. And Grand Isle, now let me tell you something. When I first got into the radio business, this is way before you were born, okay? My first job was at KLEB in Golden Meadow.
No way.
Okay, no, it's right. You've been through there. It's right on LA one. It's that little shack, right behind Randall's restaurant. Have you been to Randall's? Who do you know? Who do you know in LaFood? Do you know the Sheramies? Do you know the?
That's my people. That's my grandma's main name was Jeremy.
Are you kidding me?
No, bro, we all related.
You know Randall then. You know Randall.
Not personally, but
Okay.
I mean, I know of Randall. I mean, I know.
What
Randall.
about the Eglays? You know the Eglays? John Eglay? No? Okay, what about some Dufresnes? You know some Dufresnes?
Buku Dufresnes.
Buku Dufresnes. Okay, of course, Dufresnes Bakery is what made me a fat man originally. I became a fat man because of Dufresnes Bakery.
Same, yeah.
Yeah. I used to I started off doing the graveyard shift, midnight to 6.
Yeah.
And I'd get off at 6, go right to Dufresnes. And they used to give me the donuts. I didn't have to pay for them.
Yeah.
They
Give a couple plugs on the air or something.
They give them to me. Now, the Dufresnes that I knew, these are before your time, is like, do you know what John Dufresne? No. John. He's a real outdoorsman type.
No,
okay.
I'm bad with names, bro.
Okay.
I'm terrible with names.
Okay, but anyway, I got a lot of peeps down there. So you're from Grand Isle, which is very interesting. Now, our audience is a global audience, but they're interested in things of New Orleans, and we don't just talk about New Orleans. We talk about whatever people are talking about. We hope we do that within the means that we have. We put up regular content, and finding content's hard. So you're good content. You're very good content. Did I tell you that, Kyle? You're good content.
Appreciate that.
Okay, so now...
It's got a lot of it, too.
Y'all heard him.
That's like an Elvis move. That's like an Elvis move.
Before we get too far into it, just say, how are you found on TikTok or
You could just search.
social media?
Just search Louisiana Dread, Louisiana, Dread, DREAD.
All right, now where's the dread come from? What's the
What is that? I was wondering about that.
So initially, the whole thing started by...
His accent is cool as that down the lane.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Hey,
Down the lane.
that's the thing.
I love it.
TGY. Remember they used to have the TG? What is
The
it?
TGNY.
But they would just say the TGY.
Yeah.
They would leave a letter
That's
out.
exactly
Go down
right.
the lane to the TGI. Shit. But they loved me, dude. They loved me. Thank God. Because if they don't, you're in a
You'd have been flown down to buy it, yeah.
sheetload of trouble.
He'll be doing a story about there was this DJ.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
But no,
the dread. Where does that come from?
It started just kind of organically in terms of like Louisiana culture, Louisiana history, and I wanted to do something that would educate people. And what I was kind of focused on at the time was horror and Twilight Zone, Black Mirror, that type of stuff. So I wrote a 10-episode horror anthology series specifically on Louisiana culture, and just one episode about the rougarou, one about the Axeman, one about this and that.
Rougarou. That's the Bigfoot. That's the Bigfoot.
That ain't no Bigfoot, bro. That's a swamp monster. You thinking of a Bigfoot?
Well, I know I'm thinking of Bigfoot, but I'm trying to relate to Teddy. He didn't know what the rougarou was. I knew because I lived down there. They would talk about that.
I don't know. That's new
There's
to
a
me.
swamp monster down there, Teddy.
Yeah?
There really is.
They
He's
got
been
a couple
seen.
of them, yeah. So started doing that, and then just dread with horror, and it's just kind of that suspense and that twist at the end. It just kind of associated with every episode.
Okay,
So you started with the videos on TikTok. Was it like May of 21? That's when or was it before that?
This was recent. I
went back on your TikTok page, and the oldest one I could see was maybe May of 21.
It wasn't like it was really I was just kind of experimenting with TikTok. I have no idea how to use it. I still don't know how to use it. Y'all can probably see everybody from on the live.
Well,
stream
38,000 people know how to use it.
They know that I don't know how to use it pretty much. But I just started posting randomly, and then we really got serious where we tried to do everything in a scheduled format, and I just started posting weekly, and I just found that much more easier.
Well, there's so many stories to tell. From Louisiana,
of course.
Right? So do you work by yourself on that, or you have some other people with you?
No, I have a team with me. It's myself, Michael Malley, Samantha Rohr. I have Natasha Durr, and I have Joshua Wood. Just a bunch of different people in all different fields that we all kind of get together and they'll film me talking, and I'll do all the writing and the research, of course.
Well, you need to add a Charles Clare and a Lede.
I agree, and they need to come talk to me. I want to get more.
Okay.
And Cheremies and Gutros.
But what I was going to say before is that Grand Isle is this place. It's an island, and they have taken it in the face on so many hurricanes. Yeah. But they're so resilient. They're just coming back. It's a community where they ride, golf carts around, and the big event there is the Tarpon Rodeo, which I believe is going on
last weekend.
Just happened, right?
This past weekend,
yeah. So, but look, we're going to get into some Kyle, so we're going to take a quick break, all right? And we're going to come back and get into some of Kyle's stories, because, of course, we promise you more stories. When all over the road, the podcast, New Orleans, continues.
Got a story? Got a comment? Call the AOTR listener line. Toll free 601-768-8366.
Every year,
During the last weekend in July, fishermen come from all over the world to attend the Grand Isle Tarpon Rodeo. Starting on Thursday, the rodeo allows fishermen to travel many miles offshore and compete with others to see who can reel in the biggest fish in a particular category. Now, Tarpon Rodeo not only appeals to sports junkies and charter fishermen, the island also plays host to numerous parties and outdoor concerts during the weekend.
I don't care what people tell you, inflation is here. They're about ready to put a tax on beef, a tax on pork. Have you seen the price of milk? Inflation is here. Shortages are here. And financially, you got to figure out what the heck you're going to do with excess cash. They call it discretionary income. Well, the best thing that you need to do is to contact our friends at Coin Trader Inc. They deal in all the precious metals, rare coins. It's completely private. You don't need a social security number. You could be Bozo the Clown and open an account with Coin Trader. They've been around for 15 years. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Call them today and protect your hard-earned wealth. Gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and rare U.S. and ancient coins. They're experts in all that stuff. Give them a call at 504-267-6004 and tell them the king of all podcasts sent you.
From the Crescent City and for the world, this is All Over the Road, New Orleans.
Okay, we're back with Kyle Crosby. Teddy found him. You know,
I found him on TikTok.
Yes, I did. And we're live on TikTok, and Teddy and I have never been on TikTok.
Never. We don't even have a TikTok
I'm excited.
page. Do you think we should have one, Kyle?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Should I dress better? I'm wearing a Superman t-shirt.
Absolutely not. No. Perfect.
By the way, kids, I'm not Superman, and don't try this at home.
Right.
All right, so Kyle, Teddy found him, was a great find.
Yeah.
You know, it's a struggle every week to do these podcasts for 4 seasons and find content, and when you get some good content, you got to milk it, so we're going to milk this.
Yeah.
Now, Kyle... one of the videos that I saw of you was a story about Lake Pontchartrain and before you get into about Lake Pontchartrain, let me tell you a quick story about me and Lake Pontchartrain. I used to live in Kenner, and they used to have Jefferson Downs racetrack. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay, of course you would be. Well, now it's, a bunch of houses, man. There's some
condos and stuff like that.
No, they're houses.
Okay.
But what I used to do is I'd go in a pair of shorts, and I'd go out there in a pair of shorts and my fishing rod, all right, and a lure, usually a worm or something, or a jig or something, and a popping cork. And I'd go out there and I'd fish trout because I could wade out 200-300 yards. It's waist deep. I'd walk out there. Well, one time, and when I would catch the fish, I had them on a stringer, swimming around on my belt loop. So I had 5 or 6 trout just swimming around. No, I'm stupid, I'm like bait or whatever. So all of a sudden, this thing comes in front of me, and I'm telling you, I know it was a manatee. A manatee, because it was the biggest thing I've ever seen. It kind of came and rolled.
Yeah.
And I said, oh my God, you should see me run out. The fish are flapping. I'm running. Get that. Okay, so you did a story. I saw one of your videos on Lake Pontchartrain that I thought was fascinating. Now, before you get going, and I will say this to you people, Lake Pontchartrain is what you call a brackish saltwater lake. Okay, so it's it's not like most of your lakes that are in saltwater.
It's man-made, right?
Well, go ahead.
No,
it's not man-made.
No, it's an estuary. It's not. It's not even a lake, because when you talk about lakes, and it's a lagoon.
It's a lagoon, yeah.
Right? So, but manatees, they were there, bro. Bull sharks, they got all kind of stuff in that lake. But the thing that I was most fascinated about just doing the research is that it's only 12 feet on average. Now, they got much deeper parts. They got obviously more shallow, but 12 feet on average, that doesn't, it doesn't kind of compute, especially when you're talking about
the size of it. Did we say that it's like 26 miles across?
Oh, no, but it's 600 square miles. It's like,
the Causeway Bridge is 26 miles, right?
Yeah.
across.
Something like just 24, 25. Yeah.
Well, you know what it is? It's $5. Is what it is.
$5 get you one side to the other.
There.
Well, growing up in Chicago, this is kind of stupid, but I always thought that New Orleans was on the Gulf because of
a lot of people
Pontchartrain.
think that. Yeah,
and I thought that till the day I moved here. And I came here for a radio job at B97 in 1980 or whatever, and people said, "No, the Gulf is 100 miles away." What?
Yeah, and that's when I tell people that I'm from, I just say, "Oh yeah, I'm from New Orleans," or whatever, just to because no one. I say Grand Isle, or I say La Rose, or I say down the bayou. They have no idea what I'm talking about, and they say, "Oh, where's that?" I say, about 2 hours south of New Orleans, and they lose their minds. They think, "Oh, there's something down there," all that kind of stuff. But also, and I will argue this to the day I die with everybody on this little screen here, y'all here, the Causeway. It is the longest bridge in the world over water continuously.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So many people dispute it. And they just say, no, it's not. No, it's not. And
well,
it's
they
proven.
dispute it because, New Orleans, they could have been lying about it. Maybe it's 20 miles and they say it's 26. You never know.
Right.
Yeah. Y'all have driven
But there's
over.
call boxes all along.
Yeah. Especially when you lose sight of land at a certain point. And it's about for 8 miles or so. So you really get that sense of, being alone on, especially if you're driving at night. A lot of people, especially when they first built it in the 60s and the 70s, they would just lose their mind.
It was two-way too.
Oh, yeah.
Because you only had the one bridge. Now they got the twin, they got two bridges.
Right. Yeah.
And they got 2 lanes going one way, 2 lanes going the other. One side's the bumpy side, one side's the smooth side.
Right.
With, because the one's like
Which
30
one's
years
smooth?
younger than the other, 40 years younger. It's crazy.
My wife, who's lived in Louisiana since she's about 12 years old, she's 50 now. I mean, it never went across the Causeway Bridge until about 2 years ago. And it's because we were going from South Shore to North Shore to Mandeville to something going on. She will never go across that thing again. She's
Really?
scared to death. But I don't know, is that the smooth side or the rough side?
The smooth side
is going south to north.
Going north.
That's the smooth side?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she won't even do that.
Yeah.
But still, it does intimidate people. They get this sense of seaborne fear that people just don't get. Because especially if you've been on land for a while, people are just not around the water, and you on this bridge, and everything around you is water. You have no escape. It does get to you, and you have these kind of false sense of how long is this going to go on, or is there going to be land on the other side? You start getting
Well, other than a human body, what are some of the things that you know of that came out of the lake that might have been kind of strange? You said bull sharks.
Yeah, they got bull sharks. They had manatees. I'm sure, in the 70s, they had fish with 3 eyes because it was polluted. It was crazy polluted back then.
Now, what is the spillway? What is when they open they have a spillway. It's called the Bonacary Spillway, and that's the first thing I saw when I moved to New Orleans, and I said, "Where the hell am I?"
Yeah. Which is actually I-10.
Yes,
right?
it's I-10.
Talking about I-10.
It's I-10,
Yeah.
Now, the spillway, how does that work? When they open it, they close it, they do this, they do that. What's the deal with the spillway?
So whenever they have all kind of rain up in the north, like Ohio and stuff that goes into the tributaries of the Mississippi, it'll flood places in Missouri and Arkansas. And so we know that we getting all that runoff down here too. So we kind of have to prepare. There's 2 big spillways. There's Marganza.
That's right.
And then there's the Bonacary. So when they'll open up Marganza, that's when you kind of know oh crap, it could be big. And then if they happen to open up Bonacary, it goes through the Maurepas swamp.
So it's like a dam.
Yeah, essentially it's like a dam or a levee that open up, a lock.
Right. Gotcha.
And when they open up that lock, all that Mississippi River water goes through the Maurepas swamp or Penchac swamp, and it goes into the estuary of Lake Pontchartrain.
So now, why do the fishermen get pissed when that happens?
Oh, because they're displaced.
Okay, the fish.
The fish, yeah.
Who also
So
gets
many
pretty
little
pissed
communities.
off?
I said the fishermen, not the fish.
Oh, I thought you said the fish.
The fish.
people
I don't
who
know if
live-
the fish are pissed or not.
When they open that Morganza, it floods a whole area where people live, right?
Yeah, well, not necessarily.
Because I knew somebody in Baton Rouge who stayed there. I guess maybe not full time, but you get a little bit of a notice, a warning. I think a couple days, maybe. We're going to be opening this, so
Yeah, what's crazy?
get your stuff together.
Exactly. But the sad part, though, is the places that were there before they built it, because those got completely wiped.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they did the same thing when they had the Great Flood in 27 down here in New Orleans. They blew up the levee on the Mississippi River down there in St. Bernard, and all kind of homes, people, tens of thousands of people were displaced because their homes were just flooded. They said, hey, guess what? We're going to save the city. Y'all screwed, though. We'll find some place.
There's always some casualties there.
Yep.
Yeah, so-
Okay, so now, so why do the fishermen get mad when they open the spillway? Does that do something with the fish? Does that pollute?
I'm sure it does. I'm not a biologist
you don't know
or
that
anything,
one.
but
You can say I don't know. You don't know.
yeah,
that
I have no idea, but I'm assuming that it would kind of mess up all the water in the area, so it would cause a kind of a disturbance. Again, I'm no fisherman or biologist, but there's a lot going on right now in terms of the fishing industry down here, in terms of, especially with the sea levels rising, that is going to completely take away all the freshwater marshes. But normally what happens, though, is the fresh water would inundate more into land as the salt water would intrude more, but the fresh water is coming up against levees and urban development, so it has no place to go, so it's just going to go, and all the wildlife in there is going to die, and certain fish, all kind of freshwater fish, they're just going to die, and they won't be able to really get that
Wow.
meat.
That's crazy.
Okay, now let me ask you this then. New Orleans is a city that is below sea level. If you're listening across the country or on TikTok all over the world, it's below sea level. So what they've told me over the years is that New Orleans is one big landfill. So now what happened? Somebody came here one day and it was just water and it just fell. How does a landfill work? How does that work?
It's built in a bowl.
Yeah. So how does landfill work? Who did it? Why did it? Who decided what happened there?
And you heard a lot of that after Katrina because it flooded so bad.
Yeah.
And people were like, should we even rebuild New Orleans? Remember that? There's actually talk around the country.
Oh, hey, every year they have a hurricane. It's always talk about, should we rebuild Grand Isle? And guess what? They do, and it turns out great.
Well, Grand Isle's a whole different animal, baby.
It's true.
Yeah, they do what they want to do, and that's it.
You're right.
I know.
You're right. But essentially, I mean, they had all the native tribes that we hear, like the Chitimacha, the Homas, Attakapaw, Chapatulas, all these
Native
tribes.
American. These are Native American. They were like Native American, but they were black, right? Isn't that what they were, or no?
No, they were just all different colors.
Okay, all right, all different colors. There were some purple ones in there. Okay.
Yeah, well, they had some maroon. They had some blue, green. No, it's just like us. But no, they just had these people in these tribes who were all along the river because the river is the highest point. Because every time it floods, it'll just deposit the sediments, right? So when the French settled the area that is New Orleans, it was on high ground. And it was about 3 feet above sea level.
Okay.
So they would build the French Quarter, and as the population would rise, they would kind of clear out the cypress swamp, and they would drain it.
Wow.
And they would just build on it. And once you drain it for a while, it would just get kind of hard. Then they would just keep doing that over and over and over again. But you'll see in places like Irish Channel, that wasn't built up enough. So every time it would rain, the rainwater would just kind of course through the city streets, and it would look like a channels like you see in Venice. So it would say Irish Channel because of the people living there. So even the way they would build the city kind of impacts the words that we use in the city today. And as you would kind of build further and further, you can't really tell it's gone as much of a dip as it does. And then they're building on the opposite side on the South Shore, and it just kind of met in the middle with Mid-City. And it was just kind of building from there, just draining the swamp.
No kidding. No kidding.
That's unbelievable. This guy's such a wealth of knowledge.
I know. If you're young, how old are you, Kyle?
32.
He's 32 years old. How does the guy learn all this crap?
I know.
But when you're young, you retain it. You hear, and it stays in there where it flees us. He gets in and it just freaking flees is what it does. Okay.
So in case you're wondering, we're talking to Kyle Crosby, who's with Louisiana Dread, and we found him on TikTok. And by the way, we're on live on TikTok on Kyle's page. Right now. And a little bit about our podcast. It's All Over the Road, New Orleans. That's Vic. I'm Ted. We have guests, and we just go back over the older episodes if you want, and you'll find something you may be interested in. Listen to them. We've got how many episodes? 100,
over 150. But on our last show, Kyle, we actually had a live rugby scrum in the studio.
Yeah,
with Carl Meyer of the New Orleans Gold. We had an actual scrum. We had to clear the desk out and everything, but it was fun. It was just the three of us.
Because we basically everything we know about rugby has been learned by by being around Carl.
Okay, all right.
Carl's taught us everything.
This is when I knew you were coming. I wanted to ask this. All right, do you have any pirate stories?
Oh, yeah.
Because I love a good pirate story.
Oh, dude. Yeah, we got all kind of pirate stories.
Okay, give me a good one.
So my great 7 times great-grandfather is Louis Chicazola, who...
He's Italian.
Italian from Genoa.
Yeah.
So
Chicazola.
Yeah.
Chicazola.
But he went by a name called Ne Coupe.
Okay.
Which is no-nose, because he got it cut off in battle.
Okay.
And he's famous on Grand Isle in terms of like all kind of daiquiri shops are named after him, all because he had his home base there, and he was one of Jean Lafitte's lieutenants. So there was a long history, especially with the Battle of New Orleans and stuff he fought. But there is rumor that when this isn't a rumor, but he had his house on the island that had his big oak tree, and once the United States government wiped out Aotr, which was Jean Lafitte's stronghold, the pirate kind of central point moved to his house in a way. So that oak tree had a little hidden hole in it that they'd have pirate mail in it. Now, it's since long gone from the storms and stuff, but there is rumor that there is still treasure buried out there.
Really?
Yeah.
In Grand Isle.
Not on the island itself, but in the marshes. And good luck.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Probably like 600 feet below all that soot now. God knows how deep you go. But there's all kind of stuff. The one that a lot of people know about is the one with the blacksmith shop, Jean Lafitte's blacksmith shop.
Right. Which still stands today.
Yeah.
It's more in the Lake Charles area, right?
No, that's right here.
That's right here?
It's in the
It's
quarter.
in the French Quarter.
It's the quarter,
Okay.
yeah. Isn't it a bar now?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a bar.
it's a bar, yeah.
But it was his blacksmith shop, and there is a story that he found out that 4 of his privateers were stealing from him, and he finds out under the guise of a promotion, he tells them to come to the blacksmith shop, and when they get there, he gets his other guys to close the doors, and he lights the furnace, and one by one, he has their heads put in the furnace, and he makes the other ones watch as it goes through. And that's known to have a lot of activity there in terms of paranormal stuff. Because not only do we do actual like history and culture stories, we do folklore, which includes ghosts and vampires and all this kind of paranormal
So you
stuff.
could tell a real ghost story compared to the ones that drive around with the mules and they make them up down in the corner. If you ever take a ghost story deal, believe me, these people are making those stories up.
Yeah, as they go along.
But if you want a real story, you got to go to TikTok and hear them from Kyle.
Well, that's the thing. I was walking down the street one day, and I heard one of the tour guides say something completely asinine about Louisiana, and that's kind of was like, no, let's do this right if this is going to happen. So I just wanted to bring it
that's
up.
got to be one of those guys' worst nightmares to get a Kyle in their group, right? And they're telling the
about a
story,
heckler.
and Kyle's like, excuse me?
When you talk about a real heckler, he would be it.
I actually gave a couple tours, and after that, I was like, in the French Quarter, it was with Nightly Spirits. They do great stuff. That's why I like them, because they, they say go and tell the stories the way it happened, because it's so much more interesting, y'all. And y'all know y'all listening here too. It's so much history and so many different things happen throughout the course of time here. It's so cool to just hear the actual truth instead of this whatever sage from Wisconsin can make up.
Yeah.
It's different.
Well, what's great about New Orleans is the cultures. It's a blend of many cultures and many things. So you said something about paranormal stuff.
And paranoia.
Yeah, paranoia too. We all have that. We all have that. But of course, I was a big fan of the X-Files when it was on. But now, have you had experience with paranormal experiences in New Orleans?
Personally, no.
No, okay.
I haven't. Because I've walked all over the place in the quarters. I've tried as many different restaurants and bars that I can go into just so I could get their stories. So, it needs to be preserved. And that's something that I learned the hard way with my grandparents. I didn't get them. They didn't record. They were poor. They didn't record any of the stories they would tell me. So it was all just kind of in my head. And I was, how beneficial that would be. And if every family had that they could record these old stories and then have it into a big digital library.
Yeah.
Okay. The swamp monster. I got to ask you about him. And that's right, your neck of the woods. That's in your wheelhouse. Okay. Now, in French, he's the
rougarou.
Rougarou. Teddy. He's the rougarou. You know what he is in Italian?
Rougarou?
In Italian, he's the pabotch.
Okay.
Okay. But now you say he's nothing like a Bigfoot. The Bigfoot's like a drier. He's a mountain thing.
Correct.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Now, this guy's a swamp monster. Okay. What do you know about the rougarou?
It started. Now the legend starts way back in France with the lycanthrope, this werewolf type of when.
Okay.
So it's called the Loup, loup-garou. So, but when you say it in French, it's the rougarou.
Rougarou.
So over time, down here, you have the L turn into the R. So it's loup-garou, rougarou, rougarou, rougarou. So
when I first got the golden medal, look, Teddy, I got the golden medal and started meeting people. They would tell me about this thing. They would say, "Dude, watch, the rougarou's going to get you. We're going to stick the rougarou." Like they had control over this thing.
Control the rougarou.
Scared the living crap out of me.
Am I saying it right? Rougarou?
you could just say rougarou.
Rougarou.
Yeah, because you can't roll your tongue like I can. Rougarou.
You got it down.
Yeah, I got that down.
Yeah.
All right, so
but
continue.
the word origins is you have loup meaning moon or not, and then garou meaning person who shapeshifts. I'm sorry, loup is a wolf, and then person who shapeshifts. So it's werewolf, and there's a couple different ways that you can turn into one or you become one. One is obviously if someone puts a hex on you. Another one is if you are very Catholic, because this whole state is very Catholic,
Yeah, very
at least
Catholic.
South Louisiana is very Catholic. You break your Lenten penance for 7 years in a row. That's it. You turn into a rougarou.
Really?
Now, if you get bit, scratched, any type of contact like that kind of draws blood, you can't tell anyone that it was a rougarou that did that to you for a year and a day.
Okay.
Or else
You'll turn into rougarou yourself. So there's many rougarous.
Of course, yeah. There's not just one. Then that's a big common misconception.
So
too,
the
that there's just
rougarou
one.
isn't like some 7-8 foot thing.
Oh yeah, it's 7 feet tall.
Okay.
It's a big wolf.
So if I were to become the rougarou, I'd get taller.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that a bit.
Is that where you got the name, a radio name, Big Ragu?
Maybe. Who knows?
Because he used to be Big Ragu.
The rougarou. I should have been the
Maybe-
rougarou. I should have been the
maybe
rougarou. I should have
Related to the
I
rougarou.
freaking screwed that up.
Yeah, something like that. Could have been
Just
the
like
Big
the rest of my
Ragu.
radio career. So he's a big monster, and there could be multiple monsters. Now, do you know of anyone that said they ever saw one?
Oh yeah.
You do? Okay, well, tell me that.
yeah.
Who is this person?
Oh,
Now, do
there's
you have
many.
stories on TikTok
There's
with these
many.
people?
No, I haven't. I haven't
No.
had stories on them. These are people.
I think TikTok. Would you like to see a rougarou
Yeah.
special? Yes, you would.
There's
A
an idea for
rougarou
you,
special
Kyle.
Oh yeah.
with Kyle Crosby.
So, I mean, there's so many people that's claimed to have seen one. Most notably, I had a teacher, and they were telling a story that.
Is Grand Isle High?
No, this is South Lafourche High.
South Lafourche. I used to do the South Lafourche games with John Starr.
Come on.
I used to do South Lafourche football games.
Football.
Hey, go
And-
Tarpons. Allons passons, baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I had a teacher that said that they saw some red eyes, of the rougarou, and when they were doing stuff in the back swamps by the tidelands.
Wow.
I've had people say that they were by a cemetery in Ascension Parish, and they saw what looked like a big dog.
All right.
But then they get close and its eyes are glowing. All these different kind of stories. This isn't like a one punch pony. This is, you've heard it.
Oh, I've heard
back in the day.
definitely.
When I was growing up, my grandma said that I better be inside by a certain time, or the rougarou's going to get me, or if I'm bad, it's going to pinch your toes while he's sleeping. That kind of
Well,
stuff.
when I was down there, it was during the time, this was like 1980, 81. All right, was when I was down there. And this is when all the Vietnamese fishermen started coming in. All right. And so the story is that they put a hex on these fishermen that came into Lafourche Parish. And the hex was that the rougarou was, and a lot of them ended up missing. These were actual people that were ending up missing. That the rougarou was the one that was taking all these Vietnamese fishermen.
responsible.
He was responsible for that.
Wow.
And that was like, I was going, wow. These people believed it. They weren't just, it's not like they were like, telling a story.
Yeah.
They believed, their eyes are all wide.
Oh yeah,
And
you go
believe it.
online and they have people that submit stories on like tiger droppings and stuff like that. You'll see them go into the long details. I've had people email me and tell me stories about that they were walking on the street and they just turned around, they see something and they freak out, and the rougarou 100%.
So when anything happens that's unexplainable, it's a rougarou.
Is a rougarou.
Yeah, you blame it on
I think it's
rougarou.
just safe to at least say that. Just if anything,
makes
just blame it on that. Yeah,
That's funny.
But it's not the only monster we got down here.
Yeah.
and that's when doing my research. Every little part of the state has their own kind of unique cryptid, because you got Slidell and the North Shore that has the Honey Island Swamp Monster.
The Honey Island Swamp. I've been to the Honey Island Swamp.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like a tourist attraction. I never heard about the monster there.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Really?
That one's probably almost as famous as the rougarou, because they had footage of it. They had a guide who went and did plaster of the footprints and stuff that it would create. But the theory about the Honey Island Swamp Monster is that there was a train carrying it was a circus that was coming into New Orleans.
Okay.
And it derailed in the swamp, and the chimpanzees that they had for the circus escaped into the swamp.
Yeah.
And they started to interbreed with the alligators.
Get the heck
And
out.
this thing,
Get outta
and
here.
this thing just emerged that is half alligator, half chimp. That's just big, strong beast in the swamp, and
That's an alligator that can climb a tree.
that's it.
That's something.
And then run fast on two legs. And it's scary.
Well, if me and Teddy were in that situation, we were being attacked, how fast would you need to run to get away? Well, the answer to that is I just need to run a little faster than Teddy. And I'll be safe. And believe me, I don't think I can. I think I'd lose that race. I think, okay, I want to talk a little bit about the Superdome, because you have a wealth of knowledge of that. So we're going to talk about that. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with the lovely and talented Kyle Crosby on All Over the Road, the podcast. We'll be right back.
a one-of-a-kind podcast. It's all over the road New Orleans with the king of all podcasting, Victor Del Giorno.
The Tish are very violent swamp monsters that reside in the denser, more remote parts of the swamp. The origin dates back to early Native American folklore, and the legend says that they come from babies who were given up at birth to be raised by alligators. Now, these abandoned babies grow up to worship crocodile and alligator-like gods. Besides being around 7 feet tall, the Latish can first be recognized by the swampy stench. They're known to lay buku eggs, but one grows faster than the other and eats its siblings. Latish have layers, and in the layers they'll have altars surrounded by alligator teeth, and they have rituals around the new moon. So listen to your mama and don't bring your boat where you're not supposed to go.
We thank our sponsors. They keep us going. They do, Teddy.
Yes, they do.
They do keep us going. Keep the money flowing,
And
Kyle.
you know what? If we don't thank them, the rougarou.
The rougarou will come and get their asses.
Get us.
We're here live on TicTok with Kyle Crosby. And Kyle.
You said tic-tac.
TikTok.
TikTok. That's close.
I could
It's
use
close.
a TikTok right now. Kyle Crosby has got an entity called Louisiana Dread, and he's a wealth of knowledge. He's a fun guy. You can find him on TikTok. And
do you put your stories to other places besides TikTok?
Yeah,
Where
on Instagram.
okay.
YouTube is our big one that we go
Okay, I was
into
gonna
much
say YouTube.
longer. Yeah, because TikTok is good for short-term videos and stuff, as y'all know. But YouTube is really where we can go in more detail.
do you know Todd Masson, the Swamp Man?
I do not.
He's a fisherman. He's been on the show. They call him the Swamp Man. He's on YouTube. He's making a living on YouTube. That's what he does.
So is this what you do? Is this your full-time job?
This, and I also do work in the film industry here.
And
So a little bit back and forth. Whenever I'm not there doing that, I can come out and do stuff.
Well, I'm about ready to get the Social 6 veneers, one on the top, two on the bottom, and maybe you can get me a part. I'm looking to break into the movie business.
Yeah, man, give me a headshot resume.
There you go. I got a connection.
There you go.
Okay, so the Louisiana Superdome. All right, where the Saints play.
Saints season is here.
Who dat, baby?
That's right. So, I did see one of your stories. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, before you do that, I heard this. This is what I hear about the Superdome.
What'd you hear?
All right, there is some voodoo queen that apparently put a hex on the Superdome, and that's why the Saints sucked for many, many years, because it was built on top of a cemetery. Is that true?
No.
Okay. I knew it wasn't.
No.
Oh, well.
I think my daddy told me that one. That's why it's not true. My dad told me.
There you go.
Of course. When his mouth's moving, he's lying. All right, go ahead.
There's some parts of that are true. Some parts of it are.
Okay.
The whole voodoo thing, a lot of the stories, especially that originate in New Orleans, gets a little bit of dash of voodoo thrown in it because it has, to the rest of the country, it's a very spooky thing, but it's really just a religion, like any other religion. And it does have some kind of concepts that may be spooky to some other religions, back and forth. It's nothing malicious or evil in a sense. What happens with the Saints sucking is probably the management. But in the story goes, and what actually happened is they had a big cemetery. It was an all Protestant cemetery.
Okay.
Because like we mentioned before, that this place is very Catholic. So when these Catholics would die, they'd all be buried in a Catholic cemetery. And then Protestants, as more Americans would come and settle, they would be in the Protestant cemetery, which was on Girard Street.
Okay.
Massive cemetery. So when they would construct in the dome, that was the location they chose, and they just started exhuming the bodies. Mm-hmm. But they wanted to meet a deadline, and they just said, to hell with it. Not all these bodies are exhumed. So they started building it, and they were like, okay, they still have bodies underneath this thing. So that was the myth and the lore as to why the Saints were awful, is because it's just all these dead bodies still are just there, and they just hear that they can't get any rest.
Only
You
in New
hear the
Orleans
rumbles.
they do something. Only in New Orleans they would do something like that.
Yeah.
Now I do believe that. I mean, that's actual fact, because there was a cemetery there.
Yeah.
And the bodies that they exhumed, they presumably moved.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the Protestants being the minority here, they said, let's move. But that was the prime location. The I-10 went right through there. So that is the true story on the Superdome.
Yeah.
That's it. Mm-hmm. All right. So now you have a wealth of stories. You got all these stories in your head, in your young 32-year-old head that retains information, unlike us, Ted.
Right.
Give us your best story.
Ooh.
Give us, or just give us a Hall of Fame story for the people live on TikTok and the people here listening all over the world. The podcast. Hit us
Right on.
Hit us with your best shot.
So, y'all been to Lacombe? Louisiana.
I have.
On the North Shore.
Yes.
That's between Slidell and Hammond?
At Mandeville, yeah.
Mandeville
yeah,
area?
it's
Yeah.
right in between that.
Yeah.
There's a little cemetery right there. And I forget what it was called. Starts with an F. I forget what it's called.
Is it by a church or no?
No, it's Fontainebleau Cemetery.
By the state park then?
No, it's
okay.
well, it's
there is a Fontainebleau State Park, but that's in Mandeville.
It's in Mandeville, yeah.
So you're talking about
it's in the same road, so yeah.
All right.
Okay.
This was in the early '80s. Okay.
All right.
Now this guy's driving on the road late at night, and he had to slam on his brakes because there was a tombstone in the middle of the road. And he's like, oh, is this like a prank or something? And it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. He's not stopping, getting out. So he keeps going. Now, mind you, Lacomb's not built up the way it is today. Built up, quote unquote.
Yeah,
if anybody ever been there, there's like 10 houses. But back then, it had like 2. So he goes to the police station just to kind of inform them of that there's an obstruction. So the sheriff goes out, no tombstone, but a deputy 8 miles down the road swerved out the way because of a tombstone in the middle of the road. So the next day, they write the report down. They said, just to kind of cover their behinds. And a deputy is on patrol that night, and he sees the tombstone in the middle of the road, but it's standing upright. And he read the report the night before, and he's like me. He's a little capone.
So
he's a little scared.
Right. So it was laying flat, and then somehow it was standing up like it would be in the cemetery.
In the cemetery.
In the middle of the road.
In the middle of the road.
In Lacombe, Louisiana. Okay.
So he doesn't get out the car. He puts his bull eye on it, and he's just writing the report. And he looks up, gone. It's laying against the gate of the cemetery. And then he, that's kind of weird. So he went back. I wasn't going to get out, that's for sure. I'm sure he wouldn't. So the sheriff, after hearing the deputies telling all the stories, he's going to take matters in his own hands, but he doesn't see it when he goes. Until finally, he sees it in the middle of the road. He gets out, takes it, puts it in his trunk.
Okay.
Brings it to the sheriff's station and puts it in a shed, locks it, and taking notes, calls the curator of the cemetery, the caregiver. And the caregiver's not familiar with it off the top of his head and stuff, but he's going to help him kind of find the family to see, what they can do with this.
Okay.
Caretaker comes back, says he hasn't found the family, but the lore behind what the tombstone itself, the guy was a landowner in Lacombe a long time ago, and he was very abusive to the natives that were staying there at the time.
Okay.
So when they buried him, they put him next to this big oak tree, and they said, okay, the sheriff's like, I'm going to go back to the location. I'm going to get your name. I'm going to get all this kind of stuff down. Leaves the tombstone at the sheriff's station.
It's all locked up. It's secure, locked up. It's not going anywhere.
Correct.
Okay.
He's on his way to the cemetery, and on his radio, the deputy at the sheriff's station says, hey, the caregiver called back and said that the tombstone is at the cemetery already. And he said, go check in that shed. And sure enough, it's gone.
And let me finish it. And the name on the tombstone was Harry Houdini. Is that right? Is that right?
Can we make it more French? Harry Houdini? Houdini?
Harry Houdini.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and to this day, it hasn't moved again. They exhumed the body, they buried it in an unmarked location, and the tombstone just whatever it wanted to get back in that cemetery, but it just couldn't because it just kept appearing next to the gate.
Yeah.
And that's something that I thought I would have heard well before I started researching this, right? Because that's a pretty cool story, but no chance. I just looking it up in the old archives and stuff. It's interesting.
So you've done the video on that? Or no?
Yeah, that's another place you could see us on.
Yeah, you got to check out his videos, everybody, because they're very well produced, and he's got like maps and different kind of visual aids.
We're on location everything we talk about, and also on Patreon, patreon.com. You could search Louisiana Dread. We give out exclusive videos on that, and that's one of the videos that goes in well more in depth. All the videos we try to make them at least like 5 to 6 minutes or so to be more detailed. And on the Patreon, we also have a little podcast that we do pertaining to each episode we do. But that's just for Patreon. But on YouTube, it's all kind of stuff that we're going to be coming up soon, like with the estates. We're going to these major buildings and stuff, just telling the history of the buildings. The women of Storyville. We're going to tell all kind of evil people in Louisiana history, these serial killers and murderers, things like that, telling their stories.
We want to have you back. We have you back.
Absolutely.
Because I know you got a whole lot more stories.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have you back. But now,
do you have any stories on like politics? Louisiana politics.
Yeah, what's the deal?
That's the
Huey P.
scariest
No,
subject.
It's scary right there.
What about the Huey P. Long Bridge? I heard that was like just a cluster. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
And somehow Huey P. Long skimmed money, or how did the Huey P. Long Bridge go? Because now they've fixed it up. It's kind of nice now. But.
Yeah, I'm not sure about him skimming money, but I do know that when it was terrifying driving on it. It was
when I used to work down the bay, that's how you have to drive there.
Oh my God,
there was no Luling Bridge.
Right. It was. It's terrifying. But they started building it on either side of the river at the same time. Mm-hmm. So when they met, the river had shifted its course. So they had to make.
That's only in Louisiana.
I knew an engineer working on that too. Yeah. I knew a guy.
So you drive it and you just have the you have that little curve all of a sudden.
That's crazy. The old bridge in Baton Rouge is still like that.
Not
the one downtown, the one that's on 190, I think.
Right.
That goes. It's just like the old Huey P. Long in New Orleans.
That's not the Sunshine Bridge. No.
It's this is in Baton Rouge, but in North Baton Rouge. Crosses the river.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was the deal. So why was it like that? Why was the bridge built like that and not built properly, or where you could comfortably drive across it? Just
we're in Louisiana, bro. It's like there's some kind of way. There's somebody that gets their hands on something here, and they're going to ruin it for their own benefit.
So your stories are, mainly New Orleans, South Louisiana. How far do you go in the state?
We just did one on the Great Raft, which is in Shreveport, and that's the thing that I want to get out. It's Louisiana dread. Mm-hmm. It's just I'm in New Orleans, and I'm from down the bay, and I'm
there's so much stuff here.
Right.
So much history.
So we go whenever we hit milestones on YouTube, when a certain amount of followers, we'll go to Alexandria. We just went to Natchitoches, and we filmed all kind of stuff in Natchitoches. We went to Shreveport. We did the same. So we're coming to like small towns too, like Tallulah and Sulphur, these random little towns, and telling the history of that too. It's just going to take us some time. Got to get the Louisiana Dreadmobile gassed up.
Well, Alexandria, one thing about Alexandria is, and this is no joke, it's the fast food capital of the world. Every fast food chain known to man is in Alexandria, and they still have a Captain D's. Remember Captain D's seafood?
Seafood.
Oh,
Captain
God,
D,
it was a little drive-through seafood joint. It's trash, but, it's nice.
Well, they won't be a sponsor anytime soon.
Well, no, probably not.
But that's okay.
But that's the deal with Alexandria. Yeah. Okay, now here comes the big question. Teddy and I have a big question for you, okay? And other people on TikTok are witnessing it here live. And here is the big question.
It's kind of personal.
It's a personal question.
Kind of personal. So.
No, I am wearing pants. Yeah. The personal question is this. Now we take these podcasts and we record them here at the Coin Trader Studios, and then Teddy does his magic and he'll bring it back to the studio and he'll edit it and take any mistakes out, and then he'll play little clips of some of your videos. So we'll have little actualities with you, like we go to take a break and we'll play a little clip, we'll play a commercial. So it's you got to listen to a pod. They're very, very well done. But here's the question we have for everyone that's been on the show, and you probably have more followers than anyone we've ever had on this show, I think.
Yeah, I think probably so.
Yeah,
you're right.
Will you share the show?
Of course.
So
it was that easy, Teddy.
He did. He said that he answered very quickly.
This Kyle Crosby guy, it was that darn easy. He says, of course.
He will share the show.
He will share the show. He will share the show. And then we got to get this. We got to get this and put it on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But no, Kyle, listen, definitely we want to have you back.
Of course.
Because this is, like an hour flew by.
We could spend hours. You'll never run out of content.
No, it's the best thing about Louisiana. There's so much to talk about.
So when was the last time you've been down to Grand Isle?
This past weekend for Tarpon.
This past week? Okay.
Yeah. We talked for Tarpon Rodeo. It was fun. Good time. Yeah.
I got to get back down there. Yeah. I got to get back down there.
You got to, man. It's good.
I haven't been down there in a while.
Go check out Yums and go to Bridgeside.
Okay. Yeah. Those are new. Because I haven't been down. Oh, geez. I think the last time I was down there was just a little after Katrina.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a long time.
Go check it out because they got Island Dollar down there, got all the things you need. They got Yums that can feed you. Bridgeside can launch.
Is Randolph still there? Randolph's restaurant?
No. I mean, it's in Golden Meadow. I haven't seen it. It's probably not. I have no idea.
Going on? They have the best food there.
I don't know. I mean, they
awesome.
might. Hey, I have no idea. I haven't been to the front road in Golden Meadow. I just I make my 50 miles an hour in the back road. Not 1 mile per hour over, y'all. If anybody's going to Grand Isle here,
no, never.
50 miles per hour means 50 miles per hour.
And when you go in LA1 through Golden Meadow, it's 25.
On the front road, yeah.
Yeah, the front road. Yeah, no, the back road. See, the back road was getting put in when I was there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. But for those of you that we got a lot of listeners down the bayou. Remember, especially those wrestlers, those troll guys. They're hilarious.
Yeah.
They live down there. And when I moved down there, it was a complete culture shock, obviously. And I was taken in by a family. It was, and I mean, literally taken in. I would eat dinner there every night. I'd fall asleep on their couch. It was crazy. It was Manny and Idris Dufresne. Manny and Idris Dufresne. Idris was a just a wonderful woman. Manny was a trapper. All right, and they had 2 kids, Jonathan, and Kelly. All right, now, Idris tragically was killed on LA1 when a boat came off a trailer and came through her car.
Damn.
Yeah, it was, and to this day, her funeral was the funeral. To this day, I lost it. I lost it at this funeral. I mean, I loved this woman, and I, she was family to me, and I just didn't know her that long before. I think I knew. Well, I had moved away, and so by the time that happened to her, I had known her about 5 or 6 years. They came to my wedding and all that kind of stuff because, of course, I invited them. And Kelly, who was a few years younger than me, real attractive young lady, although she had, and this is not a minus, but she had a child, and she was a single mom. And back in those days, that's different than it is now. In the 80s, a single mom was a lot different. So they were trying to hook me up with Kelly. Of course, that never happened, and she was tragically murdered in the early 90s. So, and then Jonathan, I think, ended up in prison. So it was a lot of tragedy with that family, but they were the most wonderful, warmest people. And when you go down the bayou, and of course, I know that Grand Isle's in Jefferson Parish, but it's really it's Lafourche.
Yeah.
The kids go to South Lafourche. But when you go down there, these people are the most genuine people. But let me tell you something. They're going to like you or they're not. And if they don't, it's probably a good idea to pack up and go somewhere else for the most part. But I'd love to come down there, even come down to Grand Isle, because it's been a long time since I've been to the rodeo. I know I missed it this year, but I'd like to come down there and see you. We want to have you back on the show. It's been very interesting, and thank you so much for coming, really.
Oh, no problem. It's been my pleasure. It was awesome. Fun time.
And, you can catch him on YouTube. You can catch him on TikTok. It's Louisiana Dread, and he's just got story after story after story. He's Kyle Crosby, and, we know him, we love him. We can't absolutely live without him. So thank you, Kyle. So, Kyle, maybe when you go do something else or something, we'll have you on.
Awesome.
So or if you're doing something like around here where you're doing a live shoot, let us know and we'll show up.
Right on.
Or something. We want to keep in close contact with him.
Yeah. That sounds good. Yeah, just let us know.
For sure.
This is the theme song. What do you think of this, Kyle?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah,
I dig it.
Hello to everybody at TikTok. 30,000 some
Thanks
people.
Thanks for watching.
My God, I think I'm nervous or something. I've never been in front of 30,000. Oh no, I have been. When I ran on the field at the last Tiger game, my pants fell down. I did one other time. All Over the Road is a production of the All Over the Road Podcast Network for Ted Semper and Kyle Crosby. This is Victor Del Giorno, the king of all podcasting, saying we'll see you next time on All Over the Road, the podcast. Share it with a friend. Sharing is caring. Remember, that's true. I wouldn't lie to you. If I'm lying, I'm dying. And grits ain't groceries, eggs ain't poultry, and Mona Lisa's a man. See you later.
Come on, Coin Trader Studios, we're bringing it live. And who am I? I go by the name of Darkest Night. And Jada Hoyos is the one who brings a sick beat, to which we're getting pumped for topics this week. So let me grab my grape soda and take a sip, while I turn it over to Katie, Nick, Ted, and Vic. It's all over. We're all over the road. We got a brand new show, so just lo and behold, from the bayou to the city to the burbs to the swamps, you better know what time it is when you're hearing that.
See everybody on TikTok.
That's it, baby.
Hey, am I too old?
all over the road.
Let me ask you something. Am I too old to be on TikTok?
Of course.
Here at All Over the Road, we want to know about your special event. If you have a special event coming up or something that we might find interesting or might want to pass along to our listeners, we want to hear about it. It's real simple. You can go to our 24-hour listener line, 601-Route-66, or you can DM us. DM.
That's right, direct message on Instagram or Facebook and send us a screenshot saying that you subscribe to the show, and we'll get you a t-shirt or a sticker.
Yeah, we got a lot of these t-shirts, and they're fantastic. If you've seen any of our live streams, you'll see us sporting them, and we definitely want to get it that way. So we definitely want to spread the word, and we definitely want to get you all geared up so that you can represent. Heard me?
Heard you.
All Over the Road New Orleans is brought to you by Coin Trader Inc. Mind your money.